now.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Bald and the Beautiful. I am Bryce,
I'm Chris,
and I am bald.
and I'm Beardiful.
This is episode 2, week 4, and holy cow, what a week it was. Chris and I were talking about how are we going to start episode 2, and we both kind of decided that the best way to go about this is just to rip off the band-aid and start with a recap. So first thing we're gonna do, talk about our week 3 picks. What I would say the good choices and the bad choices, but they were just all bad choices. Uh, I know I didn't make any good choices. What about you, Chris?
I mean, choices were made, consequences were accepted. I guess they could be, you could consider it accepted, uh, but I don't know. This is probably the worst start I've had in the last few. I mean, I've only been playing for a few seasons, but like this is obviously the worst start um, that I've had. But on a positive note, I beat you.
Yeah. It wasn't hard to beat me. I came in 96 out of 114 people. Oh God, no! It was just so bad. Everything I went with was just bad. And the first thing I did was again I went against your better judgment and went with the Thursday night game. And God, I really thought Tennessee was going to do something good, and it's because I'm so biased. Because for those of you who've listened to previous episodes, I still play fantasy football, and I have Henry in my league. So I'm like, all right, Tennessee's got to do something. Tennessee's got to do something. Tennessee did jack shit, and it showed when
So,
Jacksonville just played all over them.
I mean, you started off the week on a downswing, on a sizable downswing, right? Um, I
Yeah.
honestly I don't feel like any of my picks got off the ground, right? Like so my first pick, my first game was a wash. It was 0 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what happened with Tampa. You picked Tampa as well. They were absolutely killing it to begin with, right? And I'm maybe a little bit premature,
Oh yeah,
if
no, they
you
were doing
will.
fine.
Um, my wife
Freaking
says it happens to everybody. Uh,
Wait, is she still saying that? Because that shouldn't be a thing.
but yeah, Tampa was really showing what they should have. You know, Mike Evans had 3 touchdowns in that game, and they just let off. I don't know if they just let off the gas. Really, I didn't really watch that particular game. I was out of town, right? So
I
I
watched it the
was.
best I could, and they were, like you said, yeah, they were doing well, and then they just let the Giants catch up, get ahead, and then they, got really close, and like they almost had. It. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have some points for this. Nope, nope,
Well,
1 point, one freaking point. And yeah, started off the week negative, evened out with Buffalo, went negative again with Tampa. My only saving grace was I knew Houston was going to do something. Even if they were traveling to LA, they got me 10 points, not even enough to cover the Jacksonville game. And I was thinking Washington was going to do something. They held their own against the Cowboys the week before. Seriously, I called my friend and it was like, Callum, I'm blanking his name right now, but every single throw I saw, he threw it to the Chicago defense. I thought Chicago had drafted him by this point. It was ridiculous. I could not believe what I was watching.
oh, let's see. Oh, disappointing outing for the Rams, right? Um, just can't. I mean, I agree. It's in Cleveland. They're on the road, but they have a really, like I was saying last week, they have the defense to be able to make a mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or should make Baker Mayfield make a mistake and capitalize. Positive points, but not enough to really offset anything, really, right? I figured that was going to probably be my big win and maybe my saving grace to be on a wash for the for the week, right?
Right. But
Um,
see, the thing is, during preseason, everyone was giving Cleveland so much praise, and they thought they were going to do so well, and they're not holding up. But even though they're not holding up, they're still not. They're not the Dolphins.
yeah. I mean, even like looking at this though, the home teams really didn't do very well this last week, right? San Francisco barely covers, right, against Pittsburgh without Big Ben, right?
Hmm. Right.
Um, really just not firing on all cylinders, but San Francisco at home should have handedly won that game and barely covers, right? And then Seattle loses to New Orleans without without Drew Brees at home.
Yeah.
And what
Eagles lost in their house. What else we got? What else we got? We got yeah, Buccaneers lost in their house. Cardinals lost in their house. Yeah, like Seahawks lost to the Saints. It's all a lot of home
all
team
the home
losses.
losses.
Yeah,
This
but
this this trend can't continue though. So this is multiple weeks with negative points. Like this there has to be an upside, right? There absolutely has to be an upside.
the upside is one of these days I'm going to come in negative or going to come in 114th out of 114th, and you know what? I can only go up from there.
So we're going with the hit rock bottom strategy.
Yeah, because once you hit rock bottom, where else are you going to go? Oh, look, he's digging.
All right. So I'm ready to forget this. Are you?
Yeah, let's keep moving on.
So last week we talked about Cam Newton looks like.
And we both found our favorites. So for me, we have the one on the left. I like this one because when I looked at it, I was like, this Cam Newton looks like he is the offspring of a leprechaun. Just took advantage of Kirby and was like, hey, look, it's Cam Newton. What about you?
Oh man, come on now. Cam Newton looks like Scooby Doo trying to act like a person on a flight to Spooky Island. That's just sums up that picture. It's absolutely perfect. His outfits have gotten to be just absolutely ridiculous, and that's over the top. Everybody loves Scooby Doo, and it's that perfect picture right there. That sums it up.
The only bad thing about this Cam Newton phase is with him being out, there's not going to be much more going on because he's not getting press conferences in his grandmother's outfit anymore.
His
He
grandmother's outfit.
I listened to the morning radio show here, and all they would talk about was is Cam Newton's outfits and how it looks unprofessional, this, that, and the other. I'm like, who the hell cares? Like, it's overall football is entertainment in itself, so why not add a little more in the off the field as well? As far as I'm concerned, do what you want.
Sure. I mean,
You don't.
it's
I can tell you don't agree.
no, like I mean, it's entertaining, but at the same time, though, like I can understand when you're the face of a franchise, but like, what are you representing? When you're winning, nobody cares, right? Like, I honestly, I feel like I guess that's where I don't necessarily disagree, but it has to do with winning, right? And that's simply what it comes down to. If they were winning, nobody would care. The memes would continue. Cam Newton would be pressing forward, right? I'm not discounting his injury by any means, because obviously I'm not a doctor. I've only watched every episode of House.
So you've learned to be a sarcastic asshole. I get it. No, I get it.
that and it's never lupus.
Yeah.
So, but and I think that's what it comes down to, right? Like they're not winning. They're not looking like they're firing on all cylinders, even with Cam Newton under center, right? So they're gonna take a dig at it. He's out. He's a distraction at that point to a certain extent, right? And
Yeah.
more teams are getting away from putting up with quote unquote distractions. They want to be straightforward. They want to, you know, they want to win, right? But I think
Right.
that's what it comes down to. Once he starts winning again, nobody cares what he wears to the press conference, right? They're going to ask him about it, and they'll laugh it off like they have previously. Um, but
I think the only people that really care are the franchise owners. The people, the public, they're not going to care what the heck he wears. They might talk a little bit about it and they might make fun of it, but I mean, you're going to make fun of anybody else that does the same thing. The press is going to talk about it because they want to get a news story. So I mean, just me personally, I think the only people that are going to care are the actual like owners and like, oh, he's representing us. Why is he dressing like that? Because he doesn't care, and neither does anybody else.
yeah. So once they get back to their winning ways, hopefully. The only news coming out of Carolina at this point is Cam Newton's outfits or lack thereof at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So
We're moving on to a new segment for us. We wanted to spice this up a little bit and challenge ourselves with the Cam Newton. So we also with the Cam Newton meme. So we wanted to also add in the big news, and it's not even big news. It's just news that we found interesting. We both found something this week that just it clicked with us in a certain way, whether it's funny or not. It stuck with us. So that's what we're going to talk about. For me, I saw for the first time. I mean that I've seen that the Patriots picked up a new quarterback. They picked up a rookie quarterback, someone to kind of shadow Brady, because anytime you hear Patriots quarterback, it's Brady. There's no someone's watching him. There's no Rudolph to Ben. There's no Foles to Wentz with the Patriots. You just always heard Brady. So I just found it interesting that this is the first week in like the NFL app or ESPN app that they were like, hey, look, Patriots are picking up someone and Brady's questionable, because in the past 2 weeks, every freaking quarterback has been getting injured some way, some form.
So who did they pick up? Did you say? I don't think you actually said.
No, I didn't say. It was because I can't pronounce his freaking name. It's Jarrett Stidham. Yeah, I can't say it. I'm sorry. you had to call me out on it. Thanks for that. I appreciate you.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to support you and
So
broaden your horizons.
you're here to support the people that were listening. Like, oh my God, he's going to try to say the name. Look at this. No, that's who you're supporting.
But we have seen this in the past, right? Like with quarterbacks great quarterbacks, or going out, and they're the backup stepping in and actually having success. Happened with Jimmy G. Actually happened with Brady, right?
Yeah, Brady was the backup for a couple of years before he actually got his start.
For Bledsoe got injured, and then he never made it back, right?
Right.
It was the Brady show. From there on out, and we've seen that with what.
I was gonna say, you think if Brady gets his sixth ring, if he actually happens to get another sixth ring, do you think they can change the name of the Patriots to the Brady Bunch?
The Brady Bunch, yeah.
Because at that point, it's his team. Because it's pretty rough when all of your I think it's all of his that franchise's wins are under Brady and Belichick. Am I right?
Yeah, that should be correct.
All right. What was your big news of the week?
So we're talking Melvin Gordon being back.
Right. I heard that one too.
That's huge. Obviously not playing this week. He won't be eligible, but he will be back in the lineup the week following. That definitely changes the dynamic for the Chargers, right? Chargers are playing Miami this week, so business as usual as far as that's concerned. But what does that ultimately look like for the team? Like, they've been having success without him, right?
You're right.
And I think that kind of played into it at this point. He's not, but like he wasn't budging, the team wasn't budging, but the team was continuing to roll on. And if he wants to get paid, he needs to show that he's not going to be an issue in the locker room, which obviously we're seeing more and more of a crackdown on that, right?
Right.
And then he's going to need to be able to be that you know, the Melvin Gordon that we've seen uh, in the past. That's going to produce and that's going to be a game changer for that. I totally think he will, but I also think that the Chargers are going to consider split time, as Austin Eckler has been having a killer season, and there's no reason to stop his production necessarily. They've got to find a way to foster Austin Eckler's current production and balance that with Melvin Gordon coming back into the lineup, right?
I was able to read a little bit about the whole Melvin Gordon situation and how he when I first read about this during the preseason, I think I read something along the lines of he's pulling a Le'Veon Bell or something like that. And later on this week, when I finally saw that he was coming back, I kid you not, I think it says that he stated that he was not planning on sitting the whole season and pulling a Le'Veon Bell. And I honestly find it a little funny that you would announce this sort of action knowing that it just kills your leverage. Um, just the idea that you're not going to, that, okay, well, he's only going to last for so long. Why give him what he wants? You know what I mean?
Exactly. But I think that's probably like the biggest news. I mean that we've had, right. These are both things that are huge turning points for both teams,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Oh, and the other thing, I just like more of an honorable mention, not necessarily big news, but honorable mention. As of this season, rookie quarterbacks have been performing immaculately. Uh, in general, right? Even we could even go as far as to extend that to backup quarterbacks as they've been coming in, have been have been performing above average at a minimum, and I'm probably downplaying that more so than anything. I also think I'm going to blame that as to why I'm losing.
I'm gonna say they've been performing better just because they've been given more playtime because they can't be subbed out with the main guy. Like usually, yeah, you have a rookie quarterback, he gets 5, 10 throws a game because the actual your number one quarterback is still in the game. But now they have no choice. Like, oh well, good thing we picked up the rookie.
So actually, I think that's a good point. Like when we talk about over and underrated teams, right? When we're talking about those teams that have pulled together with those rookie quarterbacks. Why don't you go ahead and lead us off? Let's start with our overrated. That's we're gonna throw up a little bit of a softball, if you will. Who are you calling out as overrated at this point?
I'm gonna call out, and I don't think you're gonna agree with me on this because they're not doing so hot right now. I want to call out the Cleveland Browns, and the reason why is because I live in this Delaware area, and I'm getting Baltimore radio and Philly radio. All they want to do is talk about. Well, for Baltimore, for one, is seeing how Cleveland's in their conference. All they want to talk about is how Cleveland was, supposed to do so well. Mayfield and Beckham, and with even picking up Hunt, even though he's suspended for 10 weeks, and is it Chubb? I think is their main running back right now.
Hmm.
And they were just talking them up so much and how they're just going to get along, they're going to connect, they're going to be better than they were before. And nope, can't say that it's happened. And now they're finally going to start playing their own division teams. And if I'm not mistaken, yep, Browns are 1-2, going up against the Ravens, who are 2-1, whose only loss was to Kansas City, and that was a close game. So I mean, if Browns can pull it off, I'll take back my statement. But until then, they're my overrated team.
All right, you went for the softball. You went for that that change up straight over the plate, easy swing. All right. Um, I'll give you that one. Here's me one. I know this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion in general. And I think it actually ties to us as well based on our team names. I'm going with the Rams. Not because I think that the Rams are a bad team, but they have not been performing at the level which we saw them go to the Super Bowl with, right? Gurley's not
Oh,
producing the way he has been
oh, you
there.
don't have to tell me that.
You know, he's still an elite running back, but Goff and his receiving core don't seem to, their timing seems to be completely off. I just think that just based on like current spreads, how and how they're playing, like they barely cleared Cleveland. Cleveland was almost 2-1 instead of 1-2, right? Um, coming into this week. Um,
No, I mean I completely agree with you. Rams haven't been the Rams team since they played the Saints in the playoffs. Like they were not the same team that played the Patriots. Heck, they beat the Panthers only by 3 in week 1. Like you said, they barely beat Cleveland in week 3. And I'm looking at it right now if I can find it fast enough. Actually in week 2 they actually destroyed the Saints, but I'm guessing Brees wasn't playing then. I don't remember if he was out by week 2.
I
I
think
think
there
he I
was
think he hurt himself in week 2.
he hurt himself in that game,
Yeah.
and so like that played into it for sure, right? So they need to find another gear, right? I get it's early still,
Yeah.
but like the easy games are going to be farther and fewer between the deeper they get into their schedule. So they're going to need to find another gear in order to have that momentum. I still think they're a playoff team. I honestly still think that they take the NFC West, even in their current performance. Just because I don't feel like the NFC West is that competitive with the
Hmm.
Cardinals. With really haven't seen anything that exciting. Um, come out of the Cardinals. The Seahawks do not look like they're up to snuff, even with the 12th man. Really didn't get him deliver on that win last week. Um, and we'll look at the Niners once again. Barely cleared Pittsburgh without Big Ben. Rudolph hasn't really shown to be like, you know what I mean. He's fine. He's not doing bad. He's or poorly in any manner, but he's not Big Ben, right? He's not bringing in a game-changing element to what's going on. He's probably one of the lower performing rookies. At least not bad, but lower performing by comparison. To someone, comparing them to like Gardner Minshew, right, for
Hmm.
Jacksonville, who looks like he should be directing 70s adult films versus playing playing football, right? Um,
Right.
so I don't see any real threat to unseat the Rams in the NFC West. So I think they are still a playoff team. Um, but like I said, it's that next gear that's going to be much needed to make it out the stretch, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
No. Barely making it isn't going to last forever.
so let's go ahead and switch it up. Let's see who are you going with your underrated team. Are you going with another softball pick, or we actually like digging deep on this one?
Depends on on what your definition of the softball pick is, really. Honestly, I'm deciding between two, and it's hard for me to pick between the two because one of them's 3-0, and I know it's not going to last long. And the other one's 1-2, but they just switched gears. So I'm gonna go with the Giants. I'm gonna say Giants are my underrated one, just because they got the lesser score, but they just got rid of they're now benching Eli, and their new quarterback. I was about to say Brissett, but he's Colts. Yeah, and I should know this guy's freaking name. He's on my fantasy team this week too. But he did really well last week. I think he's gonna do well against the Redskins this week. I think now that they've got someone who a can move. He was running, he was sprinting, he was sliding. I don't even think he was sliding. He just ran through a couple of the linebackers in the last game. That is like, hey, I'm here to play. And I think once he gets it moving and finds his connections, I think the Giants can at least put up some points if even if they can't stop the points.
All right, but you do know that Saquon Barkley is out like 4 to 8 weeks right now as well. So
Yeah,
I don't know if they're going to deliver. I guess based on current performance, right? You're basing this on current performance, not potential for
yeah.
future performance. Missing their star running back.
Well, so I think even so, I think their star running back in last week's who went out last week's game went out before the half, and even with him going out before the half, I mean, even though they were still playing the Bucks, who maybe don't have the best defense, they still came back for that huge lead, or for the huge win. They have a huge they won by one, but they still put up 32 points even without Barkley in like the second half of the game.
All right, all right. All right, so my pick for underrated is not only an underrated team, but a flying under the radar team, just based on conversations across all media platforms, TV, social media, all of it, right?
I have a
Is
guess, but want to hear what you got.
okay, let's guess. I want to see. I don't think you've got the guess, all right, Zoltar. You don't have it.
I don't know. All right, first up, are they playing in week 4?
Are they playing in week 4?
Yeah, because the Y was in week 4.
Yeah, they're playing in week 4.
All right, that was way off. I was gonna say the Jets
No, no,
because
no, no.
I haven't heard anything about the Jets. So I
Well,
was
yeah,
like,
you have.
oh God, here we go.
Oh, the Jets. No, 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 no. The Jets are on like their fourth quarterback or whatever. Still, like it's Darnold's out indefinitely with his, being patient zero. Um,
What
and
you got
then
then?
Simeon's. I haven't even checked on Simeon's status. He may or may not have a leg injury that's putting him out for an extended period of time. So they're pretty deep. No, no, no. My under the radar pick actually is Indy. No Andrew Luck. No, I mean, solid defense, solid offense. Jacoby Brissett is performing like he had previously when Luck had gone out, right? They're continuing to win, but nobody's talking about them, right?
Yeah, I definitely would not have picked you for the Colts for sure. I do understand the pick though. I definitely understand it. You're right with Brissett doing well, and he's definitely got the targets for sure.
So you're looking at that. Like I think Indy's gonna surprise some people. I'm not gonna say that like they're going to the Super Bowl, but maybe there's a wild card in their future. If so, you heard it here first. Wild card.
If it goes completely wrong, you know our email.
All right. So now we got to get into week 4. Got to get into our picks, um,
Oh
and
God,
hopefully stop the bleeding. Right.
I'm just hoping it bleeds less at this point. I don't even know. I did we mention it? I think we mentioned it off the recording, but not on the recording. Like at this point, I think my plan is just to get to. I told you I was 96 out of 114. If I just get to 114 out of 114, at least I can't do any worse. It's all uphill from there. Until someone looks down at me and goes, "Why is that dude digging still? You notice he's at the bottom, right?"
All right. So, Mr. 114, let's see where we're at. Oh, speaking of Indy, you're apparently on the Indy wagon.
I am on the indie wagon, especially against Oakland. Oakland hasn't been doing too hot lately, and now that they're going to Indianapolis, I think Indy's definitely got a big advantage. After them, I picked the Giants. Like I said, picking the Giants. Also at home, Washington just got off a huge loss from the Browns. Even though I think they're gonna try to redeem themselves, I think they're gonna have a little bit of trouble. And I think they still got some stuff to figure out. Baltimore seemed like a good choice just because it's a division game. They're at home. They're gonna try to get over the loss from Kansas City, even though they're 2-1. They want to take the division, and they want to do it with a little authority just because it's Cleveland. Like they can't they just can't let it happen. I took Jacksonville over Denver. even though they're going to Denver, that was one of my upset picks. I know, and honestly, I think it's one of my biased picks again because I know they kicked the shit out of Tennessee, and I'm hoping for the best. And then I picked against your team. I absolutely had to. Um, and I think this one might be because I keep reading. I've read this 3 times. I don't. I think it was once on Facebook, one off NFL. I think I even heard it on a radio show. Was Dallas is 3-0 for playing three of the easiest teams, and now what are they going to do once they face a real team? So I'm hoping to God that somebody's jokes are going to be correct and give me some positive points this week.
I can't really I can't jump on that pick. I saw that pick and I definitely thought about it, but there's no way I could make that pick. But I do think it's a toss up. I think it's a true test of the Cowboys, right? They're in New Orleans. It is a Saints team without Drew Brees, right? But Teddy
Mhm.
Bridgewater has been doing well, right? And
Right.
is it and it's in New Orleans. You always got to give that little bit of edge to any home team, regardless if they give them the edge in the spread. If anything, I think it's a close game. I do think it's a true test of the Cowboys to see what they're going to do as they do take on those more competitive opponents, right?
Someone with a
Um,
decent defense and can also keep the ball rolling on offense.
exactly. All right, moving into my picks, we might notice something kind of odd, right? The fact that the Thursday night game already has a score and I'm already behind, right?
Well, the reason being is because Chris and I have been having some scheduling issues that we're trying to work out, and we weren't able to do this recording until during the game.
But the pick was made. It was announced previously. I didn't change it or whatever. Obviously, I didn't change it.
Because you probably should have.
I probably should have. I went against what I have always said. I no longer pick Thursday night games
What
because
did you do?
it is the curse of the Thursday night game.
Say you picked the Thursday night
So I
game.
picked the Thursday night game. Um, really did not expect Philly to be able to keep up in Green Bay. Green Bay looked like they were doing solid, made solid moves on defense. Aaron Rodgers, enough said, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? Philly decided that they wanted to play some football and
No, they had
look
a
like the team that they should be, right? They don't look like they did not play the same game against Atlanta, right?
or Detroit. I mean, they lost against Detroit at home last week, and that was a close game, but Detroit's not Green Bay.
No. So maybe that lit a fire under them. Maybe I should have taken that into account and made the contrarian pick, if you will. But, you know, went
No,
with
I mean I can't blame you. I mean I even texted you earlier saying if like I didn't pick this game, but if I did, I would have picked Green Bay and I would have been screwed too. So I think what people are learning from our picks is that they just need to look at this, go against what we say, and they'll probably go win some
yeah, fade me, the contrarian strategy, right?
money. Right.
So speaking of Detroit at home against KC. Yes, they beat Philly. Don't know really how they managed to pull that one out. I don't know if it didn't get really watch that game. Being that at that particular time, I believe Minnesota was playing at the same time as Detroit. I was actually in Minneapolis, not at the game, but in the area, right? So that is obviously on all the televisions, right? So I only caught highlights from there, but seemed like a close game overall. Well played by all means, but Kansas City is not Philly,
You
right?
know, you don't know what Detroit team you're gonna get. They tied the Cardinals. I mean, come on. Like they tied the Cardinals, they barely beat the Chargers, but they beat the Eagles, and now they're going up against Kansas City. So you mean just by looking at it, I think you would think you'd be good, but you don't know who you're gonna get.
And you never know, right? And
Yeah.
with I know KC has some injuries, right? Damian Williams is out, but I think Patrick Mahomes is clicking with his receiving core,
Come on,
right?
Hardman.
And I think that's really where Casey takes that win, right? They're a faster paced offense than Philly for sure,
Hmm.
right? They have things moving, right? They're moving in the right direction. Um, without any real hiccups, right? Nobody's talking about, oh, they beat the three worst teams in football, and that's where they're at. No, that they're doing what we expect them to do, and I even think being an away game doesn't matter. Go into Detroit. I think they take this, and I think they potentially take it pretty handedly, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they push that pace. If they push that pace and they force Detroit to keep up with them, I don't see, you know, but I've been wrong
Yeah.
every week so far.
If
So.
Well, I mean, speaking of, well, you being wrong every week so far, so have I, which kind of, well, this is the first time I've gotten a good look at your picks, and your next three picks look a little familiar.
So we've already discussed this. We're already on it. Like I said, Indy flying under the radar. Oakland isn't really clicking. They're not really there. Derek Carr looks pretty defeated currently, just kind of as I've seen in his play. They are coming off of a road loss um, in Minnesota on another road game. Actually, looking at their schedule, due to the fact that they share their stadium, they have a really long stretch of away games,
Hmm.
longer than anybody else, right? Um, So I think that's going to play into it. I think it's going to wear on them. Uh, I think Indy should have this one, right, and I think that's probably I think is one of my more comfortable picks of the week.
Don't say that. You're
And
just
now I've
jinxing that.
jinxed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then lastly, we've already talked about Baltimore and Cleveland, whatever. But I think the last thing I want to really talk about, Jacksonville at Denver. Normally I would not pick Jacksonville on a road game depending upon who they're playing, but I just look at Denver really isn't Denver anymore. Not the same team dynamic, not the same quarterback at the helm, right? And their defense does not seem to be delivering, you know, anything outside of pizzas.
I'm just saying, just because you're not, we don't discuss our picks before we do this. We each pick individually. So, and for those of you who haven't listened to the first episode, there's 16 games, or this week there's 14 games, and we've picked three of the five we were allowed to pick, and on the same team to win. That's just uncanny that this happened. But I do have an idea for our week three if this goes, or week four results or recap if this goes wrong, and it's going to be simply called Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and apparently we're going to be doing it together. If not, we'll call if, but hopefully we get lucky this week, and and it goes to what we think is actually going to happen.
Well, I just need to get out of the hole as
Yeah.
of right now. Uh, all right. That's going to do it until next week. Uh, like and subscribe, comment below, make fun of me because I can't seem to win on Thursday nights. Email us at thebaldandbeardiful@gmail.com. See you later.
Have a good night.